Books we read. Books we read. La 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 la
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining Between the Pages and welcome back to today's episode. Today we're joined by Mehak. Guess what? She's an avid reader and is in the middle of writing a novel. Isn't that amazing? Today she's here with a book that changed her mindset on mental health. All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. To know more, stay tuned. Let's welcome Mehak. Oh, hey, don't forget to share this with your friends and family and subscribe for more bookish content. Hi, Mehak. Welcome to Between the Pages.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, what's up in life?
Well, I've been reading a lot lately, and I'm also currently writing my own fantasy novel. So I'm busy with that during the summer break so far.
Oh, that's interesting. So, do you mind telling us more about the novel you're writing?
Yeah, it's basically it's a high fantasy type novel. It's set in its own dystopian world, and it's basically like where one girl is destined to like save the world when it's the end of time, but then the princess like of the country basically tries to impersonate her, and that's what it's come to so far. There's nothing like more than that, but I'm still working on it.
I see. So, can you tell us some of your favorite reads?
Okay, some of my favorite reads. My favorite book is The False Prince, and it's by Jennifer Nielsen. I think it's a really good book, and it also follows the theme of impersonation, where this nobleman recruits four orphans to try and impersonate the prince so that he can get the wealth and power for himself. Another favorite of mine is Animal Farm by George Orwell. So it's a classic, and it's also like it's also like derived from politics, the Russian Revolution. So that's what I find really interesting about it. It's a really good analogy of that as well, and I highly recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, I've been meaning to read it. Like it was right in front of me. Like my friends had it, but they didn't allow me to borrow it. They're like, you're gonna ruin it. So my chance was right in front of me, but I couldn't get the book. And I've been
Oh,
trying
that's
to.
sad.
Yeah.
But
What book are you here with today? Yeah.
okay, so I'm here with All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven, and it's a really awesome book. I love it so much, and that's why I chose it to talk about it in the podcast. It's also one of my most recent reads, and I'm really excited to talk about it today.
All right. So I've researched about this book, and the characters seem to be really interesting. So, what did you feel about the relationship between the two main protagonists, Finch and Violet?
So I felt that the relationship between Finch and Violet was actually like very unexpected. Like the fact that Finch is obsessed with the thought of death and dying, and Violet, who's devastated over another's death. Like it's really interesting how Finch teaches Violet how to live, and like shows her a bunch of experiences, like why it's worth not obsessing over her sister's death and actually like living life the way one should.
Hmm. And what do you think motivated Finch's actions throughout the book?
I think the main thing that motivated Finch's actions throughout the book had to be Violet, because there was a scene in the beginning of the book. It's not really a spoiler because it's probably in the first few pages. Finch climbs up the school bell tower with not so good intentions, and Violet is already up there and she saves him. So, like, Violet also influences his actions in so many ways. Like, he always wants to like commit suicide, but in the end, it's Violet who like stops him because she brings out something good, no matter how small, and all of and that evokes a certain feeling of gratitude in Finch, and gives him like a sense of that he wants to live more, but um, then he doesn't end up committing anything.
I see. So, what do you think the book is trying to say about mental health and the importance of getting help?
I think like if you read like till the end of the novel, I think everyone's going to cry a lot, and it's it's also like very mental health focused, like for both Finch and Violet, because it's important to see that what Finch is going through and Violet is going through are different, and mental health also has different like perspectives, and some people can be like going through something and other people can be going through the complete opposite, and like people think the grass is greener on the other side, like even with mental health issues. So this book, I think it represents that quite well. Like one might think the other is living a better life, but it shows from the two different points of view of Finch and Violet. It shows that everyone is going through something or the other inside, and everyone deserves to get help, or everyone's thoughts and voices and opinions, like and what they feel inside matter.
Yeah, you mentioned that the book had both the perspectives of the both characters, but how would the book like? I believe it would change a lot if there was only one character's perspectives. But what do you think about it?
Okay, so one thing I really like about this book is that there are both perspectives of both the characters, because otherwise, you would think that like Finch is, let's say Finch is the perspective you get to see. Like Finch is some really depressed guy, and Violet just comes out of the blue and just saves him. But with a dual point of view, you get to see like everyone has their own struggles internally, and nobody can just be your knight in shining armor and just save you. Like everyone has their internal conflict and struggle as well.
And what do you think was the most emotional part for you to read?
Okay, so that unfortunately is a really big spoiler. So, if you'd like me to say it,
Yeah, let's keep it as like
yeah,
if you could tell us without no, I don't think that would be possible. It's fine.
yeah, that's no problem.
Yeah. All right.
But I'm just telling you, it's towards the like towards the end, not the extreme end, but like I don't know, a little further than halfway through.
I see. And has this book changed the way you think about certain topics?
Yes, it had actually. Like I found myself relating to some of the side characters in many ways, but then I also got to see like how how different people can feel and think, because I didn't realize certain things were actually possible and actually real until I read this book. Like certain mental health conditions that Finch and Violet had. Like uh, at first, I had this mentality that if you're like feeling sad or depressed, like why will you, I don't know, let your grades go down, or why will you let your performance and other things go down? But in the end, it's your mental health that matters more than these things. That's one way it helped me change the way I think, because initially I prioritized other things like academics, sports, and everything else like above my mental health. But this book was really like impacted me and made me think that mental health is very important as well, and it's more important than all these things.
I see. And do you think this book should be recommended to kids our age?
I would say this book would be like for 13 and 14 years old and up, like not really younger than that, because then it wouldn't be very appropriate. So, yes, sure, our age and older. It's like young adult, like the upper end of that.
I see. So, we have a tradition in this podcast where every guest writes a question for the next guest. So, I have a question for you, and it's from Saira Agarwal, and she is asking, if you were a podcaster and could time travel to meet your favorite famous person, who would it be, and which three questions would you ask them?
Okay, so that is definitely a hard one. So the person doesn't have to be alive anymore, right?
Yeah, dead or alive.
Or dead or alive. Okay, so this is actually like a very controversial opinion, but I would like to meet Taylor Swift. Like, I'm not entirely a Swiftie. Like, I like her music, but I'm not like a die-hard fan or a Swiftie as such.
Yeah, I
But
think
I'd
it's
like to meet her because she's released her new album, The Tortured Poets Department, and it really has a lot of amazing writing prompts for writing and like writing stories and poetry as such. So, three questions I would ask her, they're mainly about this album, is that like, okay, first question is, did she have any like previous writing like poetry experience when she was younger? Did she enjoy writing poetry when she was younger, which inspired her to write this? And the other two questions I would ask her is that, uh, okay, I have to think about this. Okay, I would ask her which books inspired her to write this. Like, there are a lot of good books that she has references to. Like, in so many songs, she's referencing so many books. Like, the song called "I Hate It Here," she references the book called "The Secret Garden" by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And I'm sure there are so many other books she's referenced that I haven't noticed. So I'd like to ask her which books inspired her to write it. And then lastly, I would ask her if she wanted to write her own book because I would definitely read it because she's a really great songwriter. And I'm sure she would write really great novels as well because she has so many interesting characters in her songs that don't relate to her real life. So I would ask her that.
no, that was super interesting. So, is there anything you would like to ask me?
Okay, I'd like to ask you what inspired you to start a podcast about books specifically?
Books specifically because I used to read a lot. Like if you look at me in lockdown, we had a Kindle. I would take that, be like alone in a corner, and just the whole day I'd be reading. So I really got into books, especially during the lockdown. I was always a big reader, but yeah. So I love to talk about books. Like you ask me what book I'm reading, we can talk about it for an hour. So my mom was like, you should start a podcast about it so that we can connect with other readers and afterwards.
That's an interesting story. Even I was a very avid reader during the lockdown. So that sounds fun. Like even I relate to you a lot. And based on my love for reading, I also decided to write my own book. And I also had a YouTube channel where I used to post book reviews when I was younger, but now I don't really have the time to work on that.
But I would love to read the book you're writing, the novel you're writing. Do let me know when it's finished.
Okay, I will. I can have you as a beta reader to like read and review it first.
Thank you so much. So I had a great time talking books with you, and I hope we connect soon again. Thank you.
Me too. I'm so glad I was invited to be on here. And thank you so much. I enjoyed a lot. And I also love listening to your podcast.
I hope you guys liked today's discussion, and until next time, it's me, Anna Lilani, closing the BTP book for this week.
La 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 la.